Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for finding me. I always trust and believe that there is a reason that people find me on this platform on YouTube. A lot of my content isn't really for everyone. I would say probably about 1% of the world's population. That is absolutely certain. And if you would like to take the time, if you could be bothered to go through and have a look at all of the videos that I put up, that I upload, and pick a couple of topics that I've discussed and press play. The beauty of an audio recording is that you don't need to see me. You can be doing whatever it is that you're doing, walking the dog, cleaning the house. I'm very humbled when people reach out to me from wherever they find me and they just say that something that they were thinking and had felt for quite a while was articulated very well from me. This makes me smile and it makes me feel seen. So you probably saw the thumbnail that I've chosen, going down the rabbit hole. That is the topic of today's chat. So if that's something that you're interested in, then come on in and please share my channel with people, like my videos if you can. It helps with the algorithm. I'm going to be talking about the algorithm as well. This is going to be a heavy chat. I have some notes that I've prepared, a couple that I've just written down. I often find myself as an artist always writing and diarizing my thoughts, much like being an artist. I guess a lot of my ideas actually don't come from necessarily always visual places. They come from probably words. It could be like a sentence that I write in my phone, and then that sentence has power to it. And then I go in there and I might unpack that at some stage when I can. And it could be like a theme for a new art series, or it could be something that I want to explore. I have been meaning to work on a new series of paintings and get back into working with oils and acrylics. It's a series called Venus, the Venus series, which is a series of very natural botanica that I want to do. But as always, living in the Matrix, I can just say it that now. We can just call it for what the fuck it is. We are living in a simulation on many levels now. This is not always something that is possible. And that's something that I wanted to bring up as well and talk to you about. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, look, I mean, if you found this channel, then you probably already know what I'm like. So let's just cut the crap and just say it for what it is. When you start to wake up, some people call this the death of the ego, the death of the version of you that you thought you were. This is all connected to esoterica, and it is all connected to the occult. It's connected to spiritualism. The symbology of transformation is very brutal, and it's very, very painful. I always was interested in the Lewis Carroll, I don't think that's his real name, but Lewis Carroll, the creator, the writer of Alice in Wonderland, the idea of Alice going down the rabbit hole. And I think maybe at some point I'm going to come back in, maybe in the next upload, and I'm going to just very specifically just talk about the stages of spiritual initiation that Alice had to go through in Wonderland. I did do a video that was called The Matrix, Plato's Allegory. I did explain the allegory of Plato. But I think one of the main things I want to say is not everyone wakes up. You know, very few people really wake up. you are living in a system of kind of like agents in a way. I would say enforcers, people that are surrounded by mass manipulation and are really kind of just empty inside. You know, you probably know a few people in your life, in your family, in your workplace that are just really empty shells. You know, it's really quite terrifying. And you can see when you try and connect with them and you try to like talk to them. One of the things that Edward Gacy was talking about, if you don't know him, please go and look him up, was that not all beings here have souls. Okay, some occultists will say that that's not true, that all beings have the impulse of a soul, the spark, or what I would call the spark. I used to believe that. I used to actually believe that, and I used to think that everyone had a soul. It was just whether they were able to develop a level of individualism that could like create a personality that could really kind of be on its own on some level of like automata that wasn't just pre-programmed or just an echo of its surroundings. At this point in our history in the world, as we are heading into the final epoch, this is the final epoch, the epoch of Aquarius. It was predicted and foretold. The epoch of the Aquarius is AI, it's technology. It's where humans start fucking around and really finding out, merging with AI and things like that, is that when you are around people that are not awake, that don't want to wake up, I have, or you should have at this point, a level of awareness of them, knowing that they're just living in like autopilot mode. You know, they never question anything around them. They've traded free thinking for comfort, and they're just kind of going through the motions. You know, like they look like an everyday human. And I've actually found this a lot with certain human pattern types, and I can publicly say that one of them is the gay man as well. I also think this video might be taken down, but I don't give a fuck. I'm just telling it to you straight, is that when you get close to certain levels of vibrations of humans, you'll start to notice that they're just lost, they're empty, and they can't and they will not be willing to face on any level anything that is real. They live in a very materialistic way of thinking that's all pleasure-based. And when you try to talk to them, they're really incapable of grasping any level of emotional or spiritual experience either. So they can emulate spirituality, and in modern day consumerism, we see that a lot of people will dress up in certain costumes. They'll dress up in like flowy white material, or they'll dress up and look like Jafar from Aladdin, or they'll, you know, they can adorn themselves in the physical attribute of what an archetype of a spiritual person looks like. Like you can buy a tarot card deck, sure, but if you don't have any level of understanding and knowledge of the occult and have actually lived through life, through lived experience, and encountered like experiences that you can actually formulate to create a human experience that is spiritual, then there is nothing really there at all. There is no evolution there. And so in the modern day world, just kind of going down the rabbit hole, you will notice that with certain, what I would say, energy inversion types. This is something that I've been very aware of. I have mentioned this in previous videos. I think I did a video talking about greed, that when I go into metropolitan areas, particularly into CBDs, into central business districts, there is a certain smell that you will find. As an occultist and a mystic myself, you'll start to notice the energetic levels of different places match the frequencies of the people that live there, that inhabit those areas. So everything's based on the law of resonance. So when you go into a city, you'll notice a lot of the people are all in the same frequency because souls live in different places, in places of similarity. All right. And so this is all kind of like connected. Everything is connected. So all of these empty shells, they don't like, their driving force of action comes from usually comfort or just pleasure seeking. And that's one of the things that I've really started to notice is that these types of people are everywhere and they're becoming more and more and more frequent to a level that it's almost like they are kind of like Agent Smiths in a way of kind of just a wheel in the clog that turns the wheel of society to kind of enforce the simulation of the Matrix. And so this is where higher truths of different levels of Satanism are formed. And one of them being in Satan, in Luciferic consciousness, is pride. And pride is that you are, or you think that you are greater than that of what you are. Its pride is your own sense of entitlement. We see this happen with privileged people that are born into wealth, or people that have amassed amounts of wealth based on zero effort or merit, because we are now living in a society where unearned value is competing with earned value, and people are too stupid to know the difference. So it's getting to a point where you'll see a lot of people that in the occult world, I mean, we're all on different levels of, yes, we're all on different levels of consciousness, that is true, but you'll see a predatory state with people on levels now that we've never seen before. So when I say predatory, I mean like people preying on people, businesses, like big businesses crushing little businesses. You'll see like a very all for me type of attitude. This is the attitude of narcissism. It is the attitude of desperation, that you have to come first, that you have to kind of fuck over other people to get what you need over them. And it's kind of like eagle and pigeons, you know, different types of eagles exist. And then there's pigeons. One is kind of food to the other. And so you'll see that in different levels of occult level, like in businesses, you'll see it in structure systems. Humans are always power-based in structure systems. But this is reaching like critical levels. And it's just not sustainable. And I have talked about this before in a video that I uploaded a few weeks back called Living in an Inverted World, No Going Back. And so what we're really seeing is people now with the zero ability to question anything and thinking that they're free. You know, choice of something isn't freedom. Real freedom is being able to question your reality. Real freedom is doing what I'm doing every day when I upload these videos, is really having the ability to talk about these types of topics freely. And so one of the things that's interesting to me is that people think, like at first glance, they walk into a shop and they've got tons and tons and tons of choices. It could be like cereal flavors or like, you know, gluten-free, organic, sugar-loaded stuff, keto diet, that type of thing. And to them, it gives them a false sense of like empowerment, that they have so many choices, and that makes them feel free. But do they ever really kind of pause to take a second to think, like, you know, who chose these cereals on the shelf? You know, they didn't grow the grains that made them. They didn't design the packaging that created the cereals that they're choosing. You know, they don't question where it comes from. They just walk in and just select something off the shelf. And this is one of the things that I'm now understanding is the modern day illusion of freedom. Okay. So we're told that we live in this like endless world of possibilities and anyone can do anything and you can live and have anything you choose. But that is simply just not true. That is not the world that we're living in. And we're told that we may be living in a world of endless possibility, and it's just not real. It's basically people that live in a reality where freedom is sold to you kind of like a children's menu. It's colorful, limited, and it's pre-approved. But no one really takes a step back to start to notice like the systems that are creating it. People always think left or right, or they think right wing, left wing. But no one really steps beyond that and goes, hang on, who's really funding both sides? Why is there only two choices? Yeah, so it's all like about career. Even with a career, it's like you are free to choose between your career options, but they're options that are created and deemed only valuable if they're profitable by the system itself. So you want to be an artist? Yeah, sure. Won't that be fun? But then, yeah, try and like live and survive without monetizing your art. The system whispers to you like these ideas of who it thinks you can be only if it's economically viable. That's why people, when they meet you, particularly here where I've moved to Western Australia, the first and only and the most important question that anyone ever asks me is, what do you do? What do you do with yourself? Because what they're doing is they're weighing up how they're going to treat you based on the shape of the answer that you give them of how much money you make. Because productivity equals value. The money that you generate is the value of a human being. But particularly for men, the value of a woman is her beauty. That's it. And I have talked about SMV, sexual marketplace value. You can go back and re-listen to that video if you'd like to, just scroll through. But this is what's going on. So even your opinions are shaped with invisible walls. Yes, you can say whatever you want, but only if it doesn't make people feel uncomfortable. If you're allowed to say what you want until you question the structure of what it is itself. And then you're silenced. Have you ever noticed like the videos that I produce on this channel and look at the clicks that I get on them? They're non-existent. The content and the level of thought and articulation and depth that I give on my astrological videos, on even this video right now, is amongst some of the most out there videos on YouTube that you'll ever see. And I get people messaging me all the time saying, why the fuck isn't your channel viral? Well, I can simply answer that question because it's what society or the algorithm deems on the platform that you're on that chooses what is valuable. Everything is guided. Every time you put something or post something digitally, online, digitally, you are guided and projected outward by a force of an algorithm that is already dictating who gets to see it. So if you say something real and raw, like I am now, like and all these non-playing characters and all these fucking NPCs are all out there and they just post shit. They just post these idolized versions of themselves that are photoshopped. It's not fucking real. And then you post something with real thought like this, and it's just buried. But if you post something that's trending, it might go viral. So it's not about expression. It's about performance. Even rebellion now is packaged nicely. Want to feel like you're a nonconformist? Awesome. Well, there's a brand for that too. There's a hoodie for that. There's a playlist for that. There's an aesthetic for that. There's a hashtag for that. Modern rebellion often looks like a marketing campaign that is really just a movement. And herein lies our most dangerous illusion. The illusion of this matrix is that you think that you're free. And you walk around thinking that you're in control. Never realizing the lanes were drawn out long before you arrived. The illusion works so well because it rewards you just enough. It just gives you just enough fucking dopamine so that you can stick around for the next upload, to keep you coming back to get a little scrap of applause from other people, from strangers that you don't even fucking know. Is that really freedom? You think you have options? You're just in a box. You're in a box within inside a box within inside a box. Just like Alice opening up a door. That door is in another door. You're contained in so many boxes. People don't know how to step outside of the fucking mold. They wouldn't be able to live without living in the system. Isn't it interesting that we go to school and it fills our head up with so much fucking bullshit about life that teaches us nothing about survival? It teaches nothing about, connecting with other humans. Plot twist, everything we do is about our connection to other humans. We are an interdependent species. We must have connection. And we're all fucking depressed and isolated and empty. And all these empty humans are just getting around in a modern society, all thinking they're free and taking photos of shit. It's so pathetic. Everyone's just scrolling through their phone, wake up, go to their phone, scroll past a motivational quote, think that they're going to live that quote out, post something out. What are you doing other than posting something online? Are you training to be a survivalist? How far could you go without living in the system? People are just so fucked up with modern day productivity, and it's a trap. Being busy and your busyness has become this kind of badge of honor where our value is completely measured by what we produce. We are not fucking robots. And then we romanticize about being fucking burnout and sleep deprivation. We chase milestones that we think are going to fulfill us, but it's just the bar that just keeps moving because it's getting higher and higher. And the more you want, the more you want. You never get it. Plot twist, you never get it. It's like more doing more equals more value. It's like people don't even live in their homes. You don't live in your home. You spend more time not even in your home. You don't spend more time at your home than you do at work. You never question anything. And then people like me that actually do this and question this publicly, I'm the crazy one. Your physical achievement will not bring you peace. You're chasing something that never comes. You're on a treadmill with no off switch. And you don't even realize it. We've forgotten what it's like to just exist without some kind of over-assigned purpose by someone else. And then if we have a break, then we feel we can justify that because we're rebranding it as mindful recovery and self-care and all this shit. The truth of it all is that you are not a machine and you were never meant to operate at maximum efficiency every hour of every day. Nature doesn't bloom all year long. Nature doesn't fucking bloom all year long. It's not possible. The stages of nature, summer, autumn, winter, and spring, they are connected to a human's nervous system. Have you guys noticed that? That when winter comes, that's like an internal thing where you kind of go inside yourself to rebuild yourself? No, we don't think of that. You're living in a system that just reinforces acquired slavery, and everyone is willingly chained and trying to convince themselves that they feel free when they're just stuck on a loop. A mental trap, the next day rises, and you just get up and do it all over again. And for what? Some people might think this is a radical thought that I'm having. These are all radical thoughts. I'm a radical. Yes, I'm a fucking radicalist. Try jumping out of a ship and floating around in the sea, because that's what it feels like when you go down the rabbit hole. That's what it feels like when you walk out of Plato's cave. You are alone. And suicide is a comfy alternative to really looking at this world. When you start to understand the banking system, when you start to understand like all of the systems that are operating and controlling you, you jump off that boat, you woke up, congratulations. How long can you float for before you start to drown? Are you going to wait for another boat to save your ass? Are you going to start planning for what's going to happen? Have you even thought about any of this stuff? Of course you haven't. You're too busy working every day, too busy hustling every day. And people would even think that questioning the system would be a luxury, which to me is absolutely insane, because it's not. It's always been there the whole time. I could just see it. Maybe it's just the way that I'm built. I could just see people like the Matrix Code. I can astrologically, psychically, I can look at someone and just know stuff. So to me, going to work and being a part of a system, yeah, it's all lovely and good and great, and you feel like you're a part of something, but you're not. You'll be replaced just as quickly. You'd be more replaced faster. So you would be replaced faster than your funeral if you died. You have a false sense of like feeling safe. You're not safe. There is no safety out there. Everyone is replaceable. And being conveniently addicted to your work just gives you a false sense of validation and a false sense of community, but you are not connected to yourself. You're not in fucking alignment. You're not connected to nature. You're asleep. And that's the thing that, as I understand now, with these people going down the rabbit hole and starting to wake the fuck up, is that for a lot of these people, they can't wake up because they wouldn't survive if they started to understand that everything you've built your life on is bullshit. The stuff they taught you at school was just to prepare you for the workforce, to get you trapped so you're a number in line as a mass consumer. You must be depressed so you're always consuming stuff. Because let me give you a plot twist. Happy people don't need to consume. When you get to a place of spiritual enlightenment, all of this stuff, it won't change anything inside of me. I know that now. I see that now. So if I meet someone and there's no sense of spiritual presence like I do these days, it's so depressing. It's fucked. They're absolutely useless. They can operate on this kind of automaton level like a robot, but there's nothing more going on deeper than just operating above material need. Well, then it's a forfeited of life. Same as being a narcissist or a psychopath, it's a life of zero purpose because there's no consideration for anything above self. And we live in a society now that rewards sociopathic behavior and narcissism. I would ask you all to go and watch the show Mr. Robot, if you haven't already. I know the American government was very mad when that show came out. I don't understand for the life of me why that show isn't more talked about. The things where people aren't going, or the places where people won't go in conversation, the places and the TV shows and the references that people won't go to, that's where you need to go to, because that's where the fucking answers are, where we haven't looked yet. That's what happens when you go down rabbit holes. Everything becomes destabilized because it was never, it's revealing what was there. It was never stable to begin with. The system only works as well as we pretend that it does. Are you playing it safe? Are you playing it safe? Are you really the architect of your life, or are you just operating in systems beyond your control that you wouldn't even want to understand or comprehend? And above all of these systems, believe it or not, is actually a spiritual war that has been raging for a long time on this planet. A long time. Agents of darkness and agents of light are operating through us and around us every day. For a lot of people that have trouble rationalizing that. And a lot of these things, it's like people already feel there's something wrong. They can feel something's coming. They can feel that everything feels fucked. But it's like, well, if they kind of admit that something's wrong, well, then it's like, well, If I admit that that's wrong, it's like pulling a carrot up. If you pull one up, you can't pull one up without uprooting all these other ones that are attached to it. That feels scary. That makes me feel unsafe. So they just go back to the comfort of sticking their fucking head in the sand. We have been conditioned and programmed to just consume and to market ourselves now, to be polished, to be driven by an algorithm. Every photo, every upload, every status, it's all just algorithm based. And that's why they call it a feed, because it's feeding you. And if you have like a little tiny leak of like authenticity, it just gets buried or copied or broken down. What if there was just a version of you where you don't have to prove anything, you're just you? You know, I think that I would like to unpack in the next video the concept of Alice, the concept of a child that is going through an initiation, which is what Alice in Wonderland was really about. Lewis Carroll was an occultist, and I'm going to go into the symbology of Alice in Wonderland. I'm going to unpack that a little bit and maybe have a bit of a wander into the next video with that, and just unpack a little bit of what it feels like to go into down the rabbit hole, down into, you know, the depths of a play on kind of Dante's Inferno. If I could leave here on one last note, I'm just going to say that the illusion of comfort, it tells us that we're thriving. With the click of our finger, we can get a delivery. With the click of something, we can get something on Amazon really quick. But you're not thriving. You're just surviving in a padded room. Fool. And if this video didn't hit hard, I don't know what the fuck will. Wake the fuck up. It's not sustainable. And it's your comfortability that puts you in real danger. We're going to go into some pretty dark times. We're heading there. Photo face recognition, human credit systems, cashless society. It is what it is. If the angels can hear me, I talk to angels sometimes. I try to evoke an angel or invoke an angel. Please just do not let me come back here again. I'd rather be an angel. My time is coming. I want to transcend. And I think in like Alice in Wonderland, when Alice meets the caterpillar and he says, "Who are you?" And I think that's really the question that we ask ourselves, that we should be asking ourselves every day. Rather than him telling her who she is, he is asking her to ask herself who she is. And I think that's really powerful. I also feel that my time to change or rebirth, as the caterpillar does, the smoking caterpillar, he becomes a butterfly and he flies away. This is a transformational period. It's very painful. I can feel this coming up inside of me. Ascension and growth and rebirth is extremely painful and scary, but it is necessary for what I'm here to do. So, yeah, I've always related to characters like that caterpillar. I also related a lot, actually, just personally sharing with you, in True Blood, the show True Blood, the tongue-tied, sorry, the character Godric, when Godric gave himself to the sun, I found that to be one of the most profound and most beautiful scenes in the show. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. And at this point in my incarnation, I feel tired a lot of the time. And I feel that if there's something else out there for me, then please, I'm ready. and I'm willing to evolve and grow and learn. Perhaps that's what I'm meant to do right now, is make these videos for people that can even comprehend this level of information. All I've ever really tried to do on my channel is just open doors. I'll just show you doors, doors within doors, worlds within worlds. Before I go, I'll get out of here for today, but I always loved an animated movie, which I'll share with you. It was called Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, and I loved the character Maggie Loon when she holds a seed in her hands and the seed is glowing, and she says to Krista, "There are worlds within worlds, Krista." And that just hits me so much, so deeply in my heart. And she gave up herself, her own life force, to help feed her community of people so that they could fight the forces of darkness that were in the Tim Curry character, Hexus. But yeah, I'm just sharing some analogies that I feel in my heart, and I was feeling reflective and I just wanted to get this out there. So please just share this with anyone that would be willing to listen to this, that could relate to this. Leave a comment below. It helped. It's, I don't want to beg, but I mean, it just seems that when you put stuff out there from your heart on that is actually different or is intellectual or has truth, it's like truth is silenced. And I think that's also part of just where we're at now in the human experience, is that humans want to have this kind of simulation experience rather than a natural experience now. And it's really interesting because it's like mutilating the soul or deadening or what's the word? Anesthetizing a soul in a way. It's kind of like cutting it out. It's making it sleepy. It's shutting it down. Anyway, lots of love, and I will see you in the next video. I'm going to jump in and look at some. I won't be able to get all of it, but I'm going to cover some of the symbolism that I've uncovered within Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland in the second part of this upload. So please stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions about it, any of the planetary correlations or anything, please just let me know, and I'll see if I can figure it out. Lots of love. Bye. Bye.